Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica on our continuing series Unported playlist, where I take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And today we're taking a look at Violent Storm by Konami. It's an absolutely awesome beat 'em up that doesn't get the love it deserves. But before we get too far involved, you could do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined, we have a Patreon link down there as well if you want to support the channel. But as we pick our players here, and definitely got to go with Boris, you can't beat those spiked shoulder pads. This is a game that gets mentioned occasionally when they talk about arcade beat-em-ups, but not nearly as much as it deserves, because this is on the level of something like Final Fight or Streets of Rage good, even though it doesn't really get talked about in the same way. I mean, granted, it is just a classic beat-em-up, so mechanically, if you played one, you played them all, and this game is going to definitely have the same feel of something like Streets of Rage or Final Fight. But it's just so impressive how good the game really is, and that's just down to the visuals, the soundtrack, and definitely even the gameplay, because it's a super competent beat 'em up. But I absolutely love the soundtrack in this game. It kind of feels like you're playing Beverly Hills Cop, the movie, except as a beat 'em up, because it has that really awesome 80s sort of like new age funky music to it, and it's really hard to describe except that it's super charming and I love it. And then you get to pick up power-ups like a teddy bear here that just gives you extra points on your high score. Everything in the background is destructible, all the enemy sprites and your character sprites look amazing, and there's really good backgrounds. You can see here that you have that Chinese restaurant sign. Konami has put so many little details into all the art that you really want to stop and just look at what's going on in the background. And that's what's so interesting to me about this game, is it is so good, but for some reason it never gets mentioned in the same conversations as something like Streets of Rage or Splatterhouse or Final Fight. I do think that in some way, shape, or form, the game kind of feels inspired by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because some of the bosses and enemies look kind of like off-brand Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villains, and obviously Konami made that game as well, so it's an interesting comparison. Even some of the colors they use, it kind of feels similar to that game. But if you're going to compare one beat 'em up to another, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Konami is an excellent game to compare it to. Now that we moved on to the next stage here, we get this really nice piano soundtrack going on. We're on this train and you have all that parallax scrolling going by, different layers moving at different speeds, and it gives a really nice sense of motion to the game. And I would say that every level feels nice and unique. You even get little details like those crows flying. Whoever made this game at Konami, the designers, really loved it and put a lot of different details in. I mean, we just picked up a dictionary and I'm not really sure what that is for, other than the fact that it kind of seems fun. And now that we're in the boxcar, we have boxcar hobos, and we're picking up little bento boxes of sushi to increase our life. And it's really interesting pretty much in every Japanese game, but especially Violent Storm, a lot of the food pickups you pick up definitely don't make sense within the context of the universe. And now we pick up baby pigs and they turn into footballs, which just feels a little bit bad. I kind of feel bad for the baby pigs, but how fun is it that Konami developers put that in there just to kind of make you laugh and smile a bit. And that's what it is about Violent Storm that I love so much, is not only is it a super competent beat 'em up game, but it's just so charming. The soundtrack is so great. Everything about it is just really tongue-in-cheek fun. And you have what looks kind of like the Hobgoblin here, and he's sending his ticker taker out, Joe, to beat you up. And he's got that gigantic ticket punching machine, device, I don't know what they call them, and he's trying to kill you with it. And it just makes no sense whatsoever, but contextually it makes a lot of sense. Obviously you're on a train, and now that Joe's getting a little beat up here, he's going to bring his buddy in, and they're going to kind of tag team you. And all the character designs are just so much fun. Lollipop there with those rolls of fat, they undulate and move. The sprite actually deforms a little bit when you're beating him up, and it's just all those little touches that I absolutely love in arcade video games. There is a little bit of an audio issue there on emulation. It kind of pops a little bit, but it was low, maybe you didn't even hear it, but it's one of those things, you know, this game emulates 99% perfectly, but 1% of it might be a little bit touchy. But now they're on to the next stage, and I'm going to let you do is watch a little bit of the gameplay and enjoy the soundtrack. This isn't my favorite track in the entire game, but it is still quite good. But I'll be back in about a minute to close out with Violent Storm. But enjoy, and I'll be back in just a moment. And now that we're in the kitchen, I just can't say enough about how diverse the environments in this game really are. You're going through cities, you're going through trains, you're going through these kitchens, there's little rats scurrying around in the background. It just has so many fun little things going on, and I think that's what I love so much about a lot of the Konami arcade games is visually, they put so much detail in the background, all those bags of potatoes, the pots hanging from the hooks on the wall. Everything is just great. Now, as far as the story is concerned, it's an arcade game, so there really isn't much of any story. Your girlfriend, your friend gets kidnapped and you need to rescue her. That's the jumping off point for the story. That's all you're really going to get, and honestly, that's all you need in an arcade game, so don't come into this expecting a really big narrative experience, because that's not going to happen. But even here with this boss here, Drigger, all the different sprites in the background moving at the same time with that parallax scrolling in the cage fight, it just looks and feels so much fun. And that's just the takeaway of this game, and I'm really surprised that it isn't more well loved or more well talked about, because this is as good as something like Final Fight or Streets of Rage or Splatterhouse or Night Slashers, but yet it doesn't get included in that same conversation whatsoever, and that to me is just very strange. So hopefully if you've never played this game before, you're going to want to play it after you watch this video, and if you have played it, leave me a comment below and tell me what you think, because I love chatting with you guys about it. But anything, I just kind of hope this gets a little bit more press. And then there you saw, very quickly we beat somebody who kind of looked like Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And hey, in Castlevania you get wall meat, in Violent Storm you get barrel turkeys. And you even get some nice little interactive elements when you step on those pressure plates there. Those posts go down and you can flatten your enemies and use those to your advantage. But you definitely have to worry about dealing with them as well. You don't want to get hit. And this is basically budget bootleg Krang. I swear it's just a copy and paste of Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I can't really, like I said earlier, forgive Konami for doing that, because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is such a great game. Why would you not want to use that to your advantage if you could? And even the bosses, they all have a really nice look and feel to them. They're all different. And the game isn't too difficult. It's not easy. It's not cheap. I would say if you played this in arcades, I probably spent the equivalent of like $12 to $15 in virtual quarters. So on a scale of 1 to 5, I would say this is a 3 as far as the cheapness factor is concerned. What I want to do is let you listen to the soundtrack of this first area right here, just for like 30 seconds, because it is so great. And bull there, it has some weird deformities with this head. You might want to get that checked out. But I'll be back in 30 seconds. But trust me, this song is awesome. You got to hear it. The music in this game is just absolutely outstanding, and if there's one thing you take from this video, Violent Storm is an amazing game. It looks great, it plays great, and the soundtrack is absolutely stellar. But short of that is Violent Storm. If you can do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, ring that notification bell. It takes a lot of time and effort to make these videos, and we appreciate your support. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'd love to know if you played this game or not, but trust me, if you have not played this game, after you're done watching the video, of course, go download it, emulate it, find a way to play it, because it is one of my favorite beat-em-ups of all time, and it's a game that doesn't get near as much love as it deserves. But short of that, we'll be back next Sunday with our arcade game and our Unported playlist series, and we'll be back on Tuesday and Friday with videos as well. But Boris took the first death there, and he's going to be able to continue on and finish the game. See you next time. Bye-bye.